What do you get someone for their 135th birthday? I don't know. It's never been established because nobody's ever lived that long, so I guess we'll never know. But they are celebrating that milestone in Nampa today. And in lieu of gifts, we're giving everyone a quick history lesson about how the largest city in Canyon County sprung from 3 guys pooling together $200 and a little help from the Homestead Act.
As was the way in the Old West, the railroad resolved where cities would spring up. And in the early 1880s, the Oregon Short Line was finally finished in southwestern Idaho. It went from Weiser to Wyoming by way of Caldwell and what would be soon known as Nampa, a piece of property in which 3 men saw potential. James McGee, who lived up the line in Caldwell, got together with Alexander Duffs, a local businessman, and one James Stewart from Portland. And they decided developing another railroad town was a good investment. So in 1885, Duffs filed a claim under the Idaho Homestead Act, and he got 160 acres at $1.25 apiece. On September 8, 1886, McGee and Duffs formed the Nampa Land and Improvement Company, and they filed for incorporation. Those 160 acres were then parceled into lots. However, those lots left little room for vices. Being a religious man, Duffs wouldn't sell to anyone wanting to build a saloon, earning the town the nickname New Jerusalem. Well, that pub prohibition wasn't very well imposed because within 2 years, 3 of the city's 28 businesses were bar rooms. Then, as a sort of dismissive act to Duffs, when the family home was moved 21 years later, a brewery was built in its place. And what about the railroad? Well, at the time, Boise was snubbed by the Short Line, but eventually, the Idaho Central Railway connected the eventual capital city to Nampa, a junction that would turn Nampa into a jumping, upcoming city.
Yeah, the city of Nampa began with a down payment of just $200. A quick search, and I found 160 acres in Canyon County today in Melba for $1.3 million. Well, Nampa wasn't technically a city until April 17th of 1891 when they put the government together. And the nickname New Jerusalem, that didn't stick either. They kept Nampa, even though there isn't a definitive explanation of where they got it. Some say it was named after a Shoshone-Bannock chief who was called Nampa, which Nam is also the Bannock word for footprint. And those natives that lived in the area, at least that's what they tell us, well, apparently they used to pack their moccasins with sagebrush during cold weather, giving them the impression of big feet. So the origin story of Nampa, the name Nampa, about as elusive as Bigfoot himself. And speaking of birthdays, we are celebrating the birthday of our intrepid producer, Danny Alsop, pictured there on the left, there with Joe, and in the control room doing what she does every day. We wanted to share this with you as well because it takes an entire team to put this show together day in and day out, and we are proud to do this together as a team. Happy birthday, Danny.